Today, we're going to be talking about government stigma. What is stigma and what is it all about? What has government done now? Well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it next. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host, joined by Neil Matheson in Surrey, British Columbia. I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, the capital region of BC. Nice and sunny today. Just a quick weather highlight is that it's going to get up to about 30 degrees today inland. By the coast by us is about maybe 27, 28, a little bit of a breeze. So not too bad. But, with that being said, not too bad. Well, do we say not too bad on stigma? Or is it bad or is it good? I don't know. Depends on how your perspective on it is, because that's what today's show is going to be about, is government-imposed stigma. And we're going to talk about dry supportive housing in a facility.
Well, let's back up a bit, Brent, because
Sure.
Really the last time we talked about disability, we're always talking about disability stigma, really, but the last time we really talked about it in depth, we had a gentleman by the name of Michael Scott on the podcast. That was last year. It was February of 2024. We had him on, and this Michael Scott wasn't the Michael Scott from Dunder Mifflin, It was a different Michael Scott. But he talked all about disability stigma in, like, specifically just that disability stigma only.
Yeah.
And his kind of his mic drop at the end of the episode was, don't judge a book by its cover, and like, I agree with that, and I'm sure you agree with that.
Totally.
Everybody agrees with that, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. But having said that, what I want to do now is back up a bit and just give a definition of what stigma, just what is stigma, the definition of stigma, not disability stigma, but what is the definition of stigma. So here's the definition of stigma. Stigma is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. So it's not a flattering definition, right? It's a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. But having said that, even though it's kind of a negative, it's a negative spin, like you think, oh wow, stigma is bad. There's actually a right way and a wrong way to do stigma.
Yeah, for sure.
You can actually do stigma the right way and do stigma the wrong way, and we'll get into that. But I just wanted to start off the show saying that our provincial government here, and I would imagine everybody would say all provinces across Canada do the same thing. That our provincial government here, you can say that they get disability stigma, or they get stigma done wrong both ways. So
the reason why they do that, though, is because they got pink uniforms that allow it.
So there is a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, but the government gets it wrong both ways. And,
on purpose.
And I'll explain what I mean by both too, because people are going to say, well, what do you mean both? They're getting it wrong both ways, because assuming you pick, there's a 50-50 chance of getting it right? There's like a right way and a wrong way, a 50-50 chance of getting it right. But,
heads or tails.
But actually, in this special case, government is getting it wrong on both ways, and I'll get into it.
And so before we start off the show, I have just a programming announcement on the schedule for PWD Allies podcast. So today's the last show until September the 5th, everyone. But stay tuned because just doing a staycation. Well, Sonia and myself, we're going to be going to visit you, Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometime later next week is what our plan is to go over and visit. We're going to use the Save on Foods More points. Wow, that should be interesting. So you save up your points and you get rewarded on however you want to spend them on the program that allows you on. They basically give you options on how to use your points. You can use them on as ferry passes to go to and from. So
That's cool.
yeah. So looking forward to that, and it's going to be beautiful weather. It's going to be definitely a lot hotter out your neck of the woods than it is here. It does get pretty toasty out here, but more further as you go inland, it's going to get warmer. So, yeah, we're going to do some breaking with Brent. We'll do the little mini travel segment, stay locally within Lower Mainland here. So the travel segment with Sonia and Brent on our little mini bus voyage out to see Neil, and just check out some of the greenery, some of the scenery, and the beautiful mountains around. Like I'd say, when I say greenery, there's a lot of fields. It's all nice and green. Like it's just the trees are nice and blossomed at this time of the year too, and a lot of flowers blooming, and it's great. Summer is one of my favorite times of the year. That and fall.
Fall is coming. Fall is coming.
It is.
So the other programming note is that we had planned to do a podcast on Monday, and so that's going to be pushed. That's going to be pushed till what is it? September 5th.
September 5th.
Yeah. So we will do that one. It's going to be a show on the welfare food diet. So we will do the show. It's just going to be pushed to September 5th. So that'll be the first show back. Yeah. When you return from your mini vacation there, Brent.
Yeah, and we just kind of broke up the segments this summer because we had a really nasty cold there for a good while, and it was just terrible. And also because of the food segment, it's going to get postponed. We were going to do a show on Monday, but because there's a transit strike in the Cowichan Valley. I got invited to come to a demonstration, a rally, to join in solidarity with the picketers. So yeah, that should be fun. And I'm going to see if I can do a little break-in with Brent there. Get permission by some of the picketers if they would love to come on camera.
That'd be fun.
And actually ask them different questions. We'll see how that goes, and if they don't want to be on camera, that's fine. I will just do a short
ask them about their pee breaks, extended pee breaks.
Yeah, and why TransDev won't allow them to have their pee breaks, have their washrooms. I mean, that's the most basic.
It really, it's really terrible. Like I remember, I don't ride the bus very much anymore at all. But I used to ride it all the time. Got to be really good friends with a lot of bus drivers, and that was the number one complaint you'd hear all the time. Yep. Like, I can't believe they're not giving me enough time to go pee. It's just so terrible.
Yeah. It is terrible, and I'm not going to talk too much about the TransDev, but my view is that if you can't deliver service, you are in a contract. You can't deliver service for what it's worth. Yes or no. Obviously it's a labor dispute, but if you can't deliver the contract that you are actually handed to, then void the contract. Okay, just step out of the way, let the big boys handle it in their local community. As the mayor of Cowichan would say, make it local. So BC Transit, you have a choice, and BC government have a choice. Either force TransDev to provide the service to the community, show the bus drivers respect, and show the public the dignity, the respect, and the autonomy of being able to come and go from the communities. For God's sake, get the wheels rolling. The 7th of September will be the 8th of September, I said the 7th, but 7 months. That's the longest.
That's a long time.
So, and, when it comes down to stigma, that's a good example of stigma right there.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Well, let's get the ball rolling on that, Brent, because just before you launched into about the transit, I made the point that there's a right way and a wrong way to do stigma. Yeah. And so usually, like I said, usually when you think about stigma, you think of stigma being all bad, just to avoid it totally. But there actually is a right way and a wrong way to do stigma. And as I was saying, provincial governments get it wrong on both counts. And let's get into it. So What I mean by doing stigma the right way is, stigma is meant to try to protect or insulate somebody from doing a bad, unhealthy decision. So, one way to do that, like for example, you have Mothers Against Drunk Driving, right? You have the MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So you had always at those campaigns. It's like, don't drink and drive, don't drink and drive. You'll kill somebody. That's stigma, saying, drunk driving is bad, but it's stigma. It's framing drunk driving as a bad thing because it is a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So if something is a bad thing,
It is bad.
if it is a bad thing, stigma is a good thing there, because
Yeah.
you're actually discouraging.
You're trying to prevent.
You're discouraging a bad behavior. So in that sense, stigma is a good thing. You could also have, for example, families that have interventions on child abuse. In the family, say, or say it's a spousal abuse situation. So you might have a family intervention on that, and that again is a good example of stigma, saying, well, don't do that, do that, that's bad, right?
Yeah, or even there, someone's in a family situation where one person's trying to flee violence, right? There's that stigma on it too, and so many occasions where people are in silence, right? They're trapped. They don't know what to do. So the stigma on it is, well, they're silent. They don't know who to talk to, because the stigma is that if they speak up, well, then they're the victim, right? If they speak up, well, then you're not the victim, right? It's reaching out for help to the channels of helplines. There's different resources in your community, people to talk to. Hopefully maybe some of your neighbors, if you have neighbors, reach out to them. If you're in that situation, just reach out for help, right? And it really makes a huge difference. One of my neighbors many years ago, going back decades, was in and I didn't realize, I figured they were all happy-go-lucky people. No, there was a really bad situation happening. And they managed to get out of the situation, which was good. It was a good thing. Right, but the stigma was they felt that they didn't know who to talk to, because they were scared that if they
that's just exactly right. Is that all those things of whether it's spousal abuse or child abuse? All those kind of secrets are very well hidden, right? And the people that are involved with it, like that are the victims of it, especially, don't want to speak out about it because they feel embarrassed, and that's the stigma of it, right?
But here's the thing, though, on that, though,
is
what was alarming is the one of their older sons was actually being violent against the parents, and they became very disobedient, shall we say, and basically threatened the parents. Said that if I don't get my way, I'm going to go and tell the government, social services at the time, Ministry of Children and Family Services, that you're treating me with disrespect, and that you're not giving me proper meals, and you're not providing the basic care services. And the stigma. Imagine, and it's like, wow, I heard about this, and
so that's another example of stigma done wrong here. Then
that was scary. And I told mom when she was still alive at that, and she's Brent, that's not good. And my mom actually was just in the process at the time to go on OAS, old age security, and GIS and CPP and all those fun things that seniors get. Anyway, she managed to talk to one of the workers at the time and kind of quietly mentioned, next thing you know it, they were just randomly doing a check around the community and just, knocking on doors. Oh, we're just in the area, knocking on doors, make it look that way. And they showed up, and they fixed the situation. I don't know what came out of it, but it was all fixed. It was all better, but wow. And that can happen so many times, and it does happen in silence. Stigma is, it can be a good thing in certain scenarios and a bad thing in other scenarios, as we mentioned.
Yeah, and let's talk about let's move to the most prevalent form of crisis now across Canada, and the stigma attached to that is the fentanyl crisis, right? The fentanyl crisis.
Yeah.
And this again is something that the provincial government here, and again, I'm sure provincial governments across Canada, they're getting it wrong. They're getting the stigma wrong, because we'll just talk about here in BC. It's like, well, like the whole point for David Eby, let's back up, is that it was in like 2022 or 2023, I think right at the beginning of 2023, Justin Trudeau and David Eby was right by his side when they did this. They were both like, let's legalize drugs, let's legalize drugs and safe supply. And they were locked arm in arm. It's like, what can go wrong? What could go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, anybody and their dog could tell you what was going to go wrong. Like, everybody and their dog knew at that moment, as soon as they locked arms and said safe supply and, let's legalize drugs, what can go wrong? Everybody knew it was going to, like, the shit was going to hit the fan. And sure enough, right?
Oh yeah.
So let's actually talk about that. And you gave me an audio clip, and I actually it's from CKNW. I actually spliced it together. I kind of ripped it off of CKNW, and I spliced it together differently. And so let's play it. It's a clip of Leonard Krog. And Leonard Krog is the mayor. He's the mayor of Nanaimo.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the need for a dry kind of think about a dry grad. Think about a dry grad. He's talking about the need for a dry supportive housing situation.
Or Canada Dry.
Yeah, he's talking about the need for a dry supportive housing situation to get people safe, like to get people off of fentanyl.
Yeah.
And so let's play that clip, because what he basically talks about is everything that I wanted to talk about. And again, I had shot this idea with you right after our show on Monday. I was already talking about, let's do this. And this episode with Leonard Krog actually just aired yesterday. So I had the idea to do this show, and then, like, lo and behold, Leonard Krog is on the show on CKNW yesterday talking about stigma.
He's
talking about stigma, and exactly what you and I wanted to talk about already.
Yeah, on the 20th, he was on CKNW, it's the local station in British Columbia. And you can listen to it on the Chorus Network, actually anywhere in the world, really, if you go to CKNW.com. And if you miss any of the segments that are on CKNW from the morning team, they have different segments in the mornings, Monday to Friday, of course on the weekends too, but I usually just listen to it in the mornings. You can always go into their time vault, just to let our viewers and listeners know. So
and that's what I did.
Then you can go to CKNW.com, go into their time vault, find the day that you want, and pick the time.
Yeah.
So this was at just after 9 o'clock on the 20th. It was around 9:16. So just a little FYI to people. It was around 9:50, 9:16-ish area. So definitely take a look if you want.
And for just an FYI, I took basically two sound clips and I spliced them together. Into one clip, and it's about a 3.5 minute clip altogether. So you're gonna play the clip. It's about 3.5 minutes. A really good 3.5 minutes. So really have your ears peeled on this one. It's very good.
Yeah. So listen up.
Play it now. Yeah.
So this is Leonard Krog. He's the mayor in Nanaimo, British Columbia, and listen up, everyone.
Talking about fentanyl.
Yep.
The public is sitting back in British Columbia, and surely the election on October 7th was the message, are saying, please, we have a crisis in our streets, we have a crisis in our communities, in our families, wherever we go, deal with it. We don't want to see this tide of human misery filling our streets. And all we're asking for in Nanaimo is a place where people who want to get clean and stay clean and sober can be safe and secure.
You and I both know that recovery is not linear and there can be relapses. How do you accommodate for people who may have a relapse?
You know what? Yes, there will be relapses. Do we kick them out of the housing? No. We give people second and third and fourth and fifth chances all the time. I don't see it as a challenge that should stop communities and facilities from providing the kind of care that people need and giving the supports to people who want to get better.
Do you think, though, that it stigmatizes people or excludes people who are still struggling?
Of course, you can argue that it stigmatizes, but this whole issue around stigmatization, how did that work out? Oh, yes, we'll allow open drug use and we won't charge you, we won't deal with your open drug use in streets. Did that destigmatize the behavior? As I've said over and over again, even two people deep in addiction don't want to walk down a street in Nanaimo or Vancouver or Victoria with their 7-year-old observing people actively consuming drugs, smoking crack, whatever. We're not going to destigmatize the use of drugs that lead to addiction and death and break up families and destroy relationships and reduce people to almost subhuman in some respects, because their whole day is spent trying to find the next fix. Please, let's stop pretending you're going to destigmatize it. We stigmatize drunk driving. We stigmatize people in the and we do today, people who think that because they're the breadwinner in the family, that all the family assets get to be theirs. I mean, we have changed our attitudes about things, but you're not going to destigmatize the use of serious drugs that lead to addiction and death potentially. We talk about recreational drugs as if it's like having a root beer at the end of the day. I'm sorry, that's not the way society and people think. And if we're going to spend our time worrying about stigmatization while people are dying in our streets as they have done in the thousands in the last few years, I'm sorry, I don't find that to be a common sense, mature, or compassionate approach to, as I say, what everyone understands is the crisis of our times. With great respect, we're all worried about inflation. I feel sorry for families ahead of me in the grocery line trying to feed teenagers on incomes that aren't rising in an inflationary economy. I feel sorry for all kinds of folks. But the biggest source of complaints to me as a mayor, as I'm sure every mayor in British Columbia will tell you, is all around the street disorder, the related mental health, addictions, trauma, brain injury crisis that manifests itself in often in homelessness and the crime associated with feeding a drug habit.
Yeah.
And there we have it, everyone.
Yeah. Really well spoken. I like,
Yeah.
and again, like if he hadn't been on CKNW yesterday and said all that, I would have said something similar. But I mean, he said it way better than I could have. But we had planned to basically more or less what he just said right there.
It's always interesting. I've noticed there. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but when we come up with an idea, that all of a sudden,
I've noticed that recently. Is
that
that like you and I will come up with an idea first, and then the next day.
Yeah, it's on the radio.
It'll be on the radio. It's like, is somebody raiding my brain or something?
Yeah. It's like, well, we'll talk about affordable housing, and then next thing you know, they're talking about affordable housing on the radio.
I mean, all those things are really kind of current topics anyway. Yeah, but it's just interesting that like exactly, I wanted to exactly talk about not just disability stigma, but kind of doing stigma the right and wrong way, like specifically, and here you have Leonard Krog, the mayor of Nanaimo, basically talking exactly that, doing stigma the right way and the wrong way.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard Krog.
Really well done. Really well done.
Yeah, very well presented statement. And again, for our viewers and listeners, if you'd like to check out the full audio segment of that part, just go to cknw.com, go to the vault there, and you'll find it. on August the 20th. Go down around 9:15. Scroll down and just hit play and check it out on your favorite your app, and you can download it. Maybe, I don't know, but it'll play automatically anyway for you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, just to summarize what Leonard Krog was talking about there, he's basically saying that our provincial government has turned into this passive parent. You know, that they've basically turned the fentanyl crisis into like, you know, it's a form of compassionate care. It's a form of compassionate care to leave people in their addicted state and let's be passive because you know, stigma is a bad thing and we don't want to stigmatize drug use, you know, and it's just like this whole idea about passivity, and it's like let's allow a really negative, destructive behavior that's harming a lot of people, and the spill off of it on the general public is terrible too, right? You've got a whole bunch of crime and homelessness, all that's connected to the fentanyl.
Yeah, and I mean, I can vouch for that in Victoria. I mean, downtown, nonstop. There's always police cars down there, pulling people over. I mean, on the sidewalk. You know, like saying, like, you know, you can see them almost tackling them in some cases from a distance and pin them down. I mean, I think just getting them to show proper support would be the best method myself, rather than tackling them. I mean, because I mean, they're our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers. They're in desperate need of help, and the government knows these things, but it's like, oh well, just leave it up to the municipalities. They can deal with it. They can only deal with it so much, folks. And that's the stigma, right? It's getting the federal government to change the bail reform. Also, they changed. I mean, I remember hearing on the news that that was back when Justin Trudeau was our prime minister. They were supposed to be changing that bail reform. And I think they just tweaked around it here and there. They didn't actually go and change it because, you know why? It doesn't affect their lives. It doesn't affect their lives. It affects everybody else's lives. Yeah. And, you know, in British Columbia, though, just coming since we're already here, on October 7th, I like the part where Leonard hammered that point. On October 7th, people sent their opinion on what they want to see changed. Yeah. And our government just squeaked in.
Yeah. And ever since then, you know, David Eby said the right things on election night. He says, he said the right things on election night. He says, obviously the province of BC has spoken, the voters have spoken. So he said the right things, but ever since that night, he's been completely like not plugged in and could care less, kind of, you know.
Well, especially like say, well, you know, everyone's hurting, they're suffering. I hear it. I hear it on the doorsteps. We're gonna get $1,000 to you right now. Yeah, people need that help, and it was all crickets going forward. Oh, we can't do it. You know?
It's the government of announcements, right? No, you know, like we're almost a half hour into the podcast already, but Brent, and we haven't really even dealt with disability stigma yet. And really, what I wanted to do, I mean, this is important. We have to set up the difference. We have to do the comparison contrast. This whole point of the show was to set up the comparison contrast between you know, the stigma that the government is doing currently, or like basically trying to avoid stigma by being the passive parent and saying, well, drug use is okay. We can't stigmatize drug use. So let's be passive. Let's say it's okay. So that's the government response to that with the fentanyl crisis, right? But let's contrast that now. With the 30 years, literally over 30 years of deliberate, purposeful disability stigma that's been embedded, baked in to PWD policy here in BC and on all other provinces across Canada. It's baked in 30 years of deliberate disability stigma that's discriminatory. That's, I mean, you put any term you want on it. I mean, it's terrible, right?
Yes.
And for whatever reason, and we'll get into that. For whatever reason, the government says, well, this is disability stigma. That's cool. Let's do a bunch of that. Let's
just make a bunch of more pink unicorns.
Let's do a bunch of that. Let's copy and paste like stigma, like
massive.
all that's piles. Let's put piles of stigma on everything that's disability.
Yeah,
and
because,
it's such
because they feel it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Like
it's
just
the mindset.
Just pile on a bunch of crap of stigma on all the people with disabilities in the province. All across Canada, like for all the provinces across Canada, let's put piles and piles and piles of stigma on all the people with disabilities.
Yeah, like I'll give our listeners, our viewers, an example. So you look at OW in Ontario. I'll start in Ontario here. So one of I call him the numbers guy. If you're on social media, everybody, I really encourage you to check out Canada Basic. He's all for the basic income, and basically talks a lot about the OW a lot, and people who are living on OW in Ontario. It is completely, in my view, it's completely disgusting that the government, and I don't care what government's in power, any government that is complicit to leave rates and OW. I mean, we talk about below the poverty line level.
It's
right?
inhumane.
It's inhumane
it's
level.
Inhumane, right?
It's like putting your foot down, and they're laying down, and you have your foot on top of their back. That's what it's like. I mean, 8 years, going on almost 8 years with no increase in OW, ODSP. They didn't raise rates. But they tied it to inflation. It's like a stigma. It's like the government. Look what we're doing.
Yeah.
Look what we're doing.
And I don't want to say this to be clickbaity or over sensationalize this, but I've said this before, and I hope people forgive me when I say this. But there's something called animal cruelty. Like if you lock a dog in a hot car for a couple hours, I mean you can be charged like I think it's $10,000 and time in jail for animal cruelty, right? Well, the government can do similar policies to people with disabilities on welfare. They could do the same kind of thing, and it's like, oh well. It's like given a free pass. It's like, well, that's fine. Yeah. You can't leave a dog in a hot car. Like, God forbid, you'll get charged. Like, you'll get $10,000 fine and like time in jail for that. But you do the same thing for a human being with a disability, and it's like, oh well.
I want to see people living with dignity and respect and having the autonomy. In provincial and also federal. So I mentioned about Ontario. Let's bounce over to Alberta. There's other provinces. You don't really hear a lot about their disability programs, and I don't know why. I want to change the channel on that situation on another show, but we'll talk about why other provinces, so stay tuned on this one, why other provinces in Canada are not talking about their disability support systems. So that if you have any other ideas regarding that, or you'd love to come on the show.
We're always looking for more ideas from people.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's an idea that I'm just kind of coming up with right now, but I would love someone to come on and want to be a guest, and we'll talk about that.
I just wanted to shout out, before we get too far into the show again, I just want to shout out, the chat is really hopping. There's lots of people in chat, and I've been looking at it. I haven't been able to comment on it because we're so engaged in the conversation here. But we have Peter Cunnington in chat. We have Minnie Sinclair in chat. I can't even say it. Sorry, Minnie. We have Marianne Wales in chat. Who else? We got Melvin in chat. We have lots of people in chat right now. Very, very active. It's great. Sapphire, we've got Sapphire in chat. So it's very active in there. We love it. So I'm looking at it. I just haven't been able to respond
hello,
to
everyone.
everything that's going on in there. But
thanks everyone for tuning into the chat and listening to us at times, rambling on about different things. But it's very important to bring these issues to the public's attention of the deliberate inequalities that the government has pinned disabled against disabled, have and have-nots. So I'm going to bounce over to about Alberta. Now, here's a hot tamale, and it really irritates and agitates me because what their policy is, what they're doing in Alberta. I mean, compared to other provinces like Ontario and British Columbia, it's already bad enough, right? But Alberta looks at it as, oh, well, they're making too much. They get too much. So here's the thing about the Canada Disability Benefit. They're actually expecting you, and it's not an option. They're expecting you to apply for it. So they can take it away from you and say you don't even get it. And you don't have a choice. And here's the other part that I noticed that the mainstream is not pushing out a lot about, but I've been hearing a little bit more from some other advocacy groups that are pushing the narrative out now. Inclusion Canada talks about this. So if you're not following Inclusion Canada, I really encourage you to maybe follow them on social media. I mean, I'm not picking on just Inclusion Canada, but it was one that I saw newsfeed and my jaw dropped, because they're talking about a new program that the UCP government there in Alberta wants to push all the PWD AISH recipients in Alberta. That's what they call AISH. Yeah. They want to move them over to a new program.
Yeah.
And it's
new and unimproved, right? New
unimproved one. Yeah. What's wrong with the way it is? Status quo. I mean, keep the way it is. I really encourage everyone, if you read this, really to send an email, a letter, contact them on social media. If I phone them, let them know how you feel about it, because they want to change it up. They want to get them reassessed under their doctors. Mm-hmm. So you have a disability, it doesn't go away. It just accumulates over time and life. You can get into a car accident. You could be walking down a sidewalk. You could trip and fall. You could fracture your head. You could fracture your spine. I mean, so many things can happen. I mean, and more disabilities in life. So the government wants to basically reassess them to see if they're still disabled. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? UCP government.
And Gordon Campbell did that. In 2001, he did that.
Yeah,
and it was horrible.
Got his head swollen over
People died. People did die
because
he did that. Yeah.
And people had to go without and losing their homes. Yeah. People became homeless. And then they wonder why more people were homeless. So again, the UCP government in Alberta can change the course on this. They can say, you know what? Admit you screwed up. Just admit in life. People screw up in life. If a person can't admit in life that you made a mistake and then you need to do better moving forward, just admit it. I mean, Alberta, you made a mistake. Whoever told you to do it, probably, maybe you're reading the wrong storybook. I mean, maybe you're talking about Dr. Seuss or something. I don't know. I mean, book.
Yeah, let's talk about, we just talked about the fact that the provincial governments here are literally putting buckets and buckets and buckets worth of stigma. Like, they're just pouring the stigma on people with disabilities, right? And let's talk about the ways they're doing that. This infantilization of people with disabilities that were somehow less capable or less intelligent is the first way they do it, right? Mm-hmm. And like here in BC, again, let's use examples of here in BC, that like when you go to one of the social services office, like, the Ministry of Social Services, are like, empty your pockets. And you also can't leave the province for more than 30 days. And it's not consecutive. We're not talking consecutive days. We're talking 30 days total in a whole calendar year.
Yeah, or they'll say, "What is in your wallet?" Open your wallet.
And we're no longer entitled to the $45 PWD bus pass either. That was taken away because
they just give you a choice
because we don't deserve that anymore. So we're given the choice of, do you want to eat? Do you want to have food, or do you want a bus pass? So
speaking of bus pass, just a little alert on that new news. A letter came in the mail just a few days ago about the BC bus pass program within BC Transit. So just a little FYI to BC bus pass recipients within the BC Transit region outside of the greater Vancouver area. I mean, they call it Metro Vancouver. Keep changing it over so many decades. But during the BC Transit area, starting on September 1st. Then they're going to do it as a it's like not a trial basis. It's a kind of a what's that wording? It's kind of like until they make it permanent. So it's kind of they give a grace period,
like a pilot.
Yeah, well, it's like a grace period.
Okay.
But what they're going to be doing is they're integrating the BC Bus Pass program into their new computer software system that they have on the buses for tapping on, tapping off.
Okay.
They're integrating but your BC Bus Pass that you have to pay. You have to pay basically $52 a month, equivalent of what that bus pass is worth, or you take the cash and go without your transportation. So the people who have that bus pass now, they used to be $45 a year. Anyway, if you're opted into that program rather than flashing it at the bus driver, because right now you get on, you flash it at the bus driver, and on you go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're changing it as of September 1st. You're going to be tapping in. And it's just going to be an optional one, like a grace period. And I believe as of January the 1st, it's going to be permanent. So you won't have an option. If you do not tap on, you cannot get on that bus.
Okay.
And you don't need a sticker because it's going to be like TransLink. Within TransLink, you tap on, tap off on all the modes of transportation there. So they're making it universal. Yeah. And again, that's that stigma of saying we don't trust you to flash part of the bus driver. You're not going to have an option. We're forcing you to do it this way. It's like giving them an option of saying have the cash or have the bus pass. I can see them changing that where we're not going to give you the option of having the cash. We're going to force you to do it this way.
Yeah, and so again, talking about stigma, like I've got a couple of examples about that. Is like, you know, when you take away the bus pass, you're basically saying that people with disabilities aren't entitled to move around with ease, right? That like you're not entitled to be connected to your communities. You know, if you want to be connected to your communities and you don't have the bus pass because you want to eat instead, you'll have to buck up for a more expensive like cab fare or something.
Yeah, you only have one.
Or like in my case, I remember like in my case, and again, I'm very thankful. Like I got when I injured my hip, or you know, I broke my hip, and I had to get a manual wheelchair and I got it so that I could keep going to church with my mother-in-law, like without the collapse. It's a collapsible wheelchair. It's a foldable wheelchair that can just fold up into the trunk of a car. Very convenient, right? Like I have a scooter, but my scooter can't do that. My scooter's too. Like I can't fold my scooter and put it in the.
Only if we could, right?
Yeah. So
like
that's why I asked the provincial government for the foldable wheelchair, and it's the only time in all my life of being on disability, and I've been on since Jake turned 1, and he's going to be 17 soon. So it's been about 16 years that I've been on. In the 16 years that I've been on provincial assistance, I've basically never once used put in a receipt for a medical expense. Okay. I've paid out of pocket for everything. I've paid out of pocket for all my other scooters. I paid out of pocket for all the scooter repairs. I paid out of pocket for my all my crutches and crutch tips. Everything. I paid for everything. And so this wheelchair, because money is getting tighter and tighter and tighter for me, just and so sure. and so I said, just this once. Can the provincial government please pay for a manual wheelchair so I can be more connected to my community. I can easily go to church with my mother-in-law, and they said, they came back and said, no problem, we'll pay for the wheelchair, but we'll only pay for half. We'll only pay for half because your ability to move around, Neil, it's kind of optional. And the reason they said it's optional is because they already knew that I had a mobility scooter. Now again, I paid for that. I've paid for that, and I paid for 4 other scooters. It's been at least another 4 other scooters that I've paid like 100% on, and I paid for all of the repairs on, and I paid for all my crutches over the years. And so this is the first time that I ever asked the government for a big ticket item, and by big ticket I mean it's about what is it, about $3,000 or something, a little over $3,000. And so it's the first time that I asked, like, can the government please cover that? And they're like, well, we'll pay for half. And I think
pay for the wheels or pay for the seats.
And so I think it was $3,500. So they ended up paying for about $2,000, and I had to pony up. I had to pony up for about $1,500 of it, because again they said, well, your mobility, you're being able to get out of the house and be connected to your community and be connected to your family and your mother-in-law and to church. That's an optional thing, Neil, because we already know you have a scooter, and who cares if you're the one that paid for it? We already know you have it, so we're not going to cover the full cost of a wheelchair. And so that
for the wheelchair might work better for you, Neil. But hey, you can use the other, but the wheelchair, it's optional.
So again, like it wasn't a choice for me. So
no, exactly.
I had to go. I basically had to assume $1,500 of debt so I could pay for the other, almost half of the wheelchair.
Well, they call it Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction. Well, cure more debt.
Yeah, and it's not like this again. This wasn't an option for me. It's not optional.
Exactly.
It's not optional that I could get out of the house and visit my family and visit my mother-in-law and go to church. It's not optional for me.
Things to better a person's well-being, give them the tools that they need to better their life, and the government finds ways of reasons why not to try to better a person's well-being. I mean, these policies they're written. I mean, they are so archaic, and it just needs to be.
There's that word again, archaic, right?
Archaic. They need to be rewritten. I mean, completely right from scratch. Maybe we can teach the government about batch files, Neil.
Well,
I know about batch files.
We're almost already at the end of the podcast, but let's finish off and talk about why. Let's talk about why these policies are archaic. Like why has government allowed disability stigma? On the one hand, they just pile on the stigma for people with disabilities, and on the other hand, they're saying, well, let's not stigmatize drug use. It's a bad thing. But they stigmatize people with disabilities till the cows come home, and they've been doing it for 30 years. Let's talk about why they do that. And my answer to that, like, remember we did the podcast about, it was called defining disability. People can look that up if you can actually just Google it, defining disability, and then put in like PWD Allies podcast or something. You'll find it. Actually, it's I think it's from this year we did it, right?
Yep.
Was it one from this year? Yeah. So you can actually look it up in the playlist. But on that episode we talked about the kind of the disability word cloud, like what words are associated. What synonyms are connected to the word disability? Like, what's the word cloud for disability? And here are some. And again, I consulted Merriam-Webster dictionary. Like, I didn't just pull.
You didn't pull it up.
I didn't just pull words out of the hat. I consulted.
Magic, everyone.
I consulted Merriam-Webster.
A rabbit on your hat.
And these are the synonyms that Merriam-Webster has for disability as synonyms on their website, on the Merriam-Webster website. So according to Merriam-Webster, the synonyms for disability are, get ready. Are you ready? I'm just going to list them.
Drum roll.
Dysfunction, deficiency, deficit, failing, in need of, shortfall, defective. Again, these are all synonyms. These are all opposites of, similars of disability. Defective, inadequate, lack. Get this: incompleteness, fault, imperfection, liability, and wrecked.
Wow.
So again, these are all similar terms that are connected. It's like the word cloud of disability. Like, look at all the negativity that's baked in. Yeah. That's baked into disability. And again, so you have this this Merriam-Webster, and it's basically, it's a trusted, authoritative source of academia, if you want to call it that, or intelligentsia, or whatever term you want to use. Like, Merriam-Webster is not some fly-by-night. It's like, a dictionary, and it's a trusted source of academia.
Yeah, and imagine if I went to the government and said, I want to get a supplement. I'm a person with a bunch of wrecks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They'd be
like, what?
I'm a disability and I'm a liability. I have faults and I have imperfections and I'm incomplete and I'm inadequate and I'm defective. Wow. But you see how all that's baked in.
All the negativity.
Like, our own dictionaries are telling us, our own dictionaries, our own academia is telling us that disability is not worth it. If you're somebody with and so again,
we're just people.
So that's why we have 30 years of governments, whether it's federal or provincial, 30 years of governments that believe, and why wouldn't they? They believe the academia that's put forward in a Webster's dictionary of if you have a disability, you're wrecked, you're a liability, you're imperfect, you're full of faults, you're failing, you've got deficits, dysfunction. Like think about it. And
the government believes their own.
The government believes all that. The government believes all that. So why wouldn't, again, also too, like last year we talked about, we had before Christmas last year we talked about had a show called The Ghost of Christmas Past.
Oh yeah.
And that was all about kind of the ghost in the machine. And when we talked about the ghost in the machine, we're talking about basically the stigma. And again, we're going to be wrapping up the show, and I don't know if Minnie is still watching or listening, but if she is, I'm going to shout out to her a little bit, and if she wants to pipe in, she can, because again, I realize I'm a white guy, and you're a white guy, Brent, but we're going to be. I want to address racism, and how racism is different from disability discrimination. How racial discrimination is different from disability discrimination. Like, I had my friend Kent on the podcast once, and we kind of talked about that, right? But I kind of want to make the point, and I made the point before, and again, feel free to correct me, Minnie, because she says she's here. So feel free to correct me, and if I'm not talking sense, you can put your foot down. But I want to make the point. Yeah. I want to make the point that because I've always kind of thought this, that in a sense, governments have kind of racialized disability, and what I mean by that. What I mean by that is if you're going to give disability a color, it's like coloring all the people with disability blue and say, well you're a blue person, so you're not worthy. Go stand in the corner over there. You're another blue person. Go stand over there. You're another blue person, and go stand over there. And so that's what I mean by kind of. The governments have kind of racialized disability in a sense, where we're all kind of blue people. We're all kind of blue people. We're not worthy. Because
or they make things up and they say the grass is blue and the sky is green.
Yeah, I already made the point. That our own dictionaries, our own Merriam-Webster dictionary has made the point that people with disability, like the term disability it's a negative term. Right, it's deficit, it's inadequate, it's failing, it's dysfunction, it's lack, right? Yeah. So like I said, intelligentsia has already told us that disability is a bad thing, but but that this kind of for some reason it's okay. It's okay to like color everybody blue.
Yeah, I remember many years ago, and I mean, people could probably relate to.
And I hope I made sense, and I hope that made sense to Minnie too. And if I don't make sense to Minnie, go ahead and speak up about that. But I hope I kind of made my point clear on that.
It's like Minnie, and everybody else that's in the chat or anyone listening to it is. Have you heard the terminology? Noticed that a lot lately. It hasn't been mentioned, but years ago, people used to call people with disabilities, handicapped. That was always a word that was out there. And I thought, wow. And it's just over time, that word, it's you can call it whatever word you want, but I guess it's that stigma. It's like it's like they say, oh, well, you are, you're disabled. I'm just me. I mean, and I always look at it as a person should not be judged for who they are, for what they can or cannot do. If you can do, great. If you can't do, and these programs are designed to manipulate what the government dictates, what they want you to do and what they don't want you to do. And I always say if a person can be an entrepreneur, I mean, wonderful. I mean, that's great, right? Because he's like, as many as you would talk about it, these programs, I mean, she knows the policy. So if you want to reach out to me,
and I just wanted to break in because Minnie did write back. She says we cannot make disability discrimination and racism the same apple.
Exactly.
They are different, and I agree. I know I'm kind of making it out to be the same, and I don't mean to do that because they are different. They are different. But I was just trying to make the point that if you were going to try to racialize it a little bit, this idea that the government basically says that we're all kind of blue people and that we're inadequate that way. So I do agree that it's completely different, but I did like it when I did have my friend Kent on and we did talk about the differences because there are differences. It's not the same, but I like to talk about where they are the same and where they are different. And but
here's another good example though. I'm going to throw it in about how the government wants to throw a narrative out there that there's a misconception of, the majority of PWD live in subsidized housing or they live with their parents. That's a narrative that's spun out there so much, and the general public say, no. There's about 74% live in market housing. They pay market housing rent, and then the government wonders why that there's more homeless people. Well, hello, because you're not given the proper supports, right? I mean, you can take care of yourselves, no problem. And it's the same pool of money, everyone. It's the same pool of money that's there. It's miscalculated by not taxing the billionaires, right? The wealth, it needs to go back into the system. And if you take care of each person, your citizens, your residents of each province, it basically empower them to give them the tools, give them the needs that they need to better their life. Maybe they can try different things in life. They can do different things in life. I mean, like Minnie, like you would say, I mean, if you give them the power, you give them the ability, they could channel their abilities to work, try to be an entrepreneur, work for yourself.
I wanted to break in again because Minnie's got another comment, and so I just wanted to break in again the granular level, the differences here, because she makes a good comment, and I wanted to contrast that with what my friend and I, or what my friend Kent talked about when he was on the podcast. Minnie says that living with an episodic invisible disability, I'm not discriminated against based on disability. It is my race. So that's how she sees it. She says, I'm not discriminated based on against my disability. It's my race. They do not see my disability first. They always see my skin color. Now, that's completely fair if that's her experience. But I just wanted to say, Minnie, that when Kent was on the show, when he came on the show, his experience was very different. He says that he never felt discriminated against based on his skin color. Now, again, that's his experience. So he's a black man. He says personally he's never felt discriminated against, but based on his skin color, he always felt that if he was going to get discriminated against, he was always getting pulled. They were always pulling the lever of the disability all the time. It was always pulling the disability lever first. Now again, that's my friend Kent's. That's my friend Kent's experience, and again, everybody has a different experience. So obviously, Minnie's experience with it is different than my friend Kent's. But
I'll give
just
you,
interesting.
I'll give you an example about that. We got about 5 minutes, folks, and then we'll be signing up. But
we've covered a lot today.
We did. So I'll give you an example, and I'm not going to pick away at any political party here, but an experience that we had, in a meeting not that long ago, just before our rally. Actually, we had at the BC legislature, so we had a meeting, and different MLAs, meeting with us, and one actually said, well, all three of you don't look like you have disabilities. You don't look like you have disabilities. Okay, so a little FYI, there's a lot of hidden disabilities that people, they don't see. And that's not always a bad thing. That's that stigma again, right? Because you look at a person and you say, well, you take them at face value. You take them for who they are. You don't judge them for who they are. And so that's not, I turn it into a good thing. It could be a bad thing, but as long as you don't judge that person. If you take them for value for who they are, and accept them for who their other attributes and who they are, just their character on who they are, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you say, well, you have hidden disabilities, then how come you can't do this, or how come you can't do that, or why can't you do this or that? Then now you're judging the person. But if you're accepting the person for who they are, and I took it at first, I was like, well, you don't look, all three of you don't look like you have disabilities. Whoa, like what the hell are you saying? Yeah. But at the same time, they accepted us for who we are. Yeah. And I thought, okay, like bravo, like that's great, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there are people in society that will judge people, right? I don't think that's right. I can't speak for other people, but if you don't want to accept them in your life and take them for who they are, well, then they move on, right? I don't change for me, like personally, I don't change me for me, right? If somebody doesn't like who I am, well then, hey, that's not my problem. I can't change me. It's like government wants people to do what they want you to do. I'm sorry, I can't change me. If you, just because that narrative they spin out there, like the spin doctors, it's like pink unicorns, like one behind me. I can grow a lot of them. I can make them all look real, but they're in reality, they're not real. Right. So basically my point is that the government would love everyone to think that reality is that, they snap their fingers and people can do whatever the government wants them to do. Yeah. Reality, that's not happening. Right. And so I guess the part that bothers me the most is that stigma when it comes to making the general public think that government's taking care of they call it the most vulnerable.
Yeah, well, they're not.
No, they're not. And we're talking about seniors. There's so many seniors that are suffering in silence. They don't know. Maybe
again, when Christy Clark was premier, she said the most vulnerable in our society were dogs and cats.
I know.
And that's just completely tone deaf.
And then with people, they were struggling so bad because of the cost of housing or affordability. Yeah. Her answer was, well, move up north. Just move up north. Yeah. But then you don't have the facilities. Right? Yeah, so you don't have the facilities. You don't have the medical care. You don't have the transportation. Oh, well, you can just go without a bus pass. Oh, well, really? Now you have to choose, right? So it's the mindset, right? And we need to try to channel the government saying, it's okay. It's okay to accept the person for who they are. Yeah. Don't put them through reassessment. They're already disabled. Yeah. And as soon as I think we need to educate the government and saying it's okay to admit when you screw up, but do better going forward. Yeah. Listen to lived experience. And because it can affect you just because they are privileged. They are still people. they can still get disabilities, and you will get disabilities. I mean, and that's not an if. The fact is that people don't need to change who they are. Okay, so they just be you, and I accept you for you. I mean, that's just how it is, and that's how we learn in life. We learn from each other. We make mistakes. We say, "Hey, I screwed up," you know. So
again, to kind of summarize today's show, and we packed in a lot.
We did.
There's a right way and a wrong way to do stigma, and we've already gave the example of, you know, the fentanyl crisis. That's kind of the wrong way to do stigma, because the government's basically saying, let's not stigmatize drug use, even though that's a really bad thing to do, like smoking and whatever, like, you know, a really bad habit. You shouldn't do it. Let's not stigmatize that, but let's throw buckets and buckets and buckets worth of stigma onto people with disabilities. That's fine. That's okay. We love stigma then. So that's kind of been the summary of the show, and I hope people understand it. And that I just wanted to kind of finish off the fact that there is that difference between doing stigma the right way and the wrong way. And again, government's doing it wrong on both ways. And it's just not right. Yeah,
there's so many different aspects of persons who they are. I mean, like, say the skin color or your skin tone. Like, you need to go and get a suntan, Brent. Hey, I'm just born that way. It's just my color of my skin. I mean, if I go and do that, I'm sun too long, I get sunburnt. I turn like a red lobster, right? Or Brent, why are your eyes just shifting back and forth? You're not focusing on me. No, it's my eye condition.
I have an eye condition too, or I have a lazy eye that just kind of wanders off every once in a while.
Yeah, my eyes are like permanently that way, but I'm still able to focus straight. And so that's who I am, and people take me for who I am, and at least they try to anyway. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I hope you really enjoyed today's segment. We packed in a lot topics on stigma, different viewpoints on stigma, on different examples of how government treats the people with disabilities, or they call it the most vulnerable. I mean, just people with disabilities. I mean, just we are who we are, right? Just it's about respect. Give people the respect, the ability to do the best they can in life. Don't judge them. Don't tell them, well, this is what you are going to do, because you know what, these, like I say again, archaic policies, they need to be rewritten, and they will be rewritten, right? And if you need to learn about badge files, government, reach out to us. I tell you, I had a BBS up there way back, the bulletin board system way back then, and it's all done by batch files. Okay, so like if you want to know about how to reprogram things and modernize things, your strings.
I always just say, like, burn it down and start again almost.
It's not hard. It's like
burn it down to the studs and start again.
Seniors got their bus pass. PWD needed back.
Well, again, stigma. Like, if you're elderly, you still get your bus pass, but because of stigma, people with disabilities don't get their bus pass anymore. I did again want to thank everybody that's been active in chat, and again, I didn't necessarily get to address everyone in chat because it's so busy. But I hope people enjoyed the show.
I really hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your August. I'll be back on September the 5th. Stay tuned for some coffee time segments, some Breaking with Brent segments. Next Monday, the 25th, I'm going to be at, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to be at a transit rally, standing in solidarity with the Cowichan bus drivers. I don't know if all of them are going to be there, but I think
so. That took precedent. That took precedent over our podcast, and that's why you canceled the podcast.
That's right. But there'd be a lot of the Victoria bus drivers there too, and because they're brothers and sisters. They're even different unions, but they're joining in solidarity. And I was invited to come along to there to basically join up, because I'm a strong advocate for people with disabilities when it comes to public transportation in BC. I want to see these. I want to see this
So Peter Cunnington and Chad is saying, when is the transit rally? You're saying it's on Monday?
It's on Monday the 25th between 10 and 1, Peter.
Yeah.
So if you can, and it's right in front of the BC Transit headquarters there on Douglas. So if you want to be there, maybe a few minutes before, we can join up.
Yeah.
Let me know, Peter. Send me a message, and and anyone else that's local, you want to join up. We need to send a strong message to Transdev and BC Transit and the BC government that we need to put an end to this garbage, right? I know that the latest news that I heard before we sign off for today is that the BC government says they're keeping an eye on it. They want to get another mediator involved, a second mediator. The first one they had involved was the government appointed mediator. It was the same talking points that Transdev had for the union. It didn't go too well. So obviously, oopsie, it's like that didn't work. So maybe we should get one of the top mediators in there and put an end to it, because it's obviously not going anywhere. 7 months almost. That's beyond. To me, it's beyond stupid, right? Mm-hmm. It's like saying rinse and repeat. Oh, it's not working.
7 months. 7 months is about 6.5 months too long, right?
Well, people are losing their jobs. They can't get to food banks. They can't get to doctor's appointments. Or they've been fired. They lose their jobs. They're homeless because they can't pay the rent because they can't get to their jobs. Mm-hmm. Wow. People that can't commute from Cowichan, which is in the Duncan area and surrounding area within Cowichan. It's a pretty big area. You got Cowichan Lake. People are stranded. And they can't even get to Victoria or back and forth. But anyway, stay tuned. Join us on Monday, the 25th in Victoria at the front of the BC Transit headquarters. We'll talk about that. Stay tuned for Breaking with Brent on that. I'm going to try to interview some bus drivers if I can, if they want to be on camera. And enjoy your summer. Like I say, coffee time, Breaking with Brent, you name it. Little mini travel segment to go and see Neil. We have a few things.
We'll be back in September. September 5.
We'll be back in September.
To do the welfare food diet episode.
Yes.
I know that Bertie was looking forward to that. She'd already shared that out.
She shared it out.
And then she shared it out too early, so now she has to change the date on that, Bertie, to September 5. Yeah.
Yeah. We would do it on the Labor Day. There was talk about that on the 1st. But of course, there'll be a lot of activity going on that day. So next day will be September the 5th. Reach out to me at any time if you want to, or Neil. Now, you probably just reach out to Neil and let him know if you want to come on, and any other ideas that you would like to share about lived experience stories. What do you want to see the government do to change these archaic policies? How to rewrite the policies? There's lots of topics that we can dive into. So, I'd like to change some of the content going forward and different ideas. So, maybe we might even have a mini channel. Anyway, thanks everyone. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.